After nearly a 3-hour meeting with key senior security officials, Prime Minister Netanyahu reportedly supports the complete conquest of Gaza, a move that would change the scope of the ongoing bloodshed and war in the Gaza Strip. With nearly 75% operational control by the military, there are reported objections from the IDF Chief of Staff, Eyal Zamir. The order to occupy Gaza is now expected in the coming days. Here's more with ILTV's Steve Leibowitz.
Prime Minister Netanyahu met with senior security officials last night to hammer out Gaza war plans and reportedly came out in favor of the army taking control of the entire Gaza enclave, even if it meant that the remaining hostages could be harmed or executed by Hamas. The meeting came amid reports of rising tensions between Prime Minister Netanyahu and IDF Chief of Staff Eyal Zamir over the prospect of the IDF fully occupying the enclave. Zamir reportedly prefers other options. A statement from the Prime Minister's office said that the IDF is prepared to implement any decision made by the Security Cabinet. The meeting aimed to finalize a plan to present to a broader cabinet session later this week.
ההישגים האלה כמובן הם מאחורינו, אבל עדיין יש צורך להשלים את תבוסת האויב בעזה, לשחרר את כל חטופינו, להבטיח שעזה לא תהווה יותר איום על ישראל. אנחנו לא מוותרים על אף אחת מהמשימות הללו, ואנחנו נעשה את זה יחד באמצעות ההקרבה הגדולה של הלוחמים שלנו והלוחמות שלנו.
U.S. President Trump has declined to say whether he supports or opposes the potential full Israeli occupation of Gaza. Trump indicated that his main focus is in getting the civilians in Gaza fed. As for the military operation in Gaza, Trump said he would leave that to the Israelis to decide.
Thank you, Mr. President. Would you support Israel reoccupying all of Gaza, as has been suggested by some Israeli officials?
Well, I don't know what the suggestion is. I know that we are there now trying to get people fed. As you know, $60 million was given by the United States fairly recently to supply food, and a lot of food, frankly, for the people of Gaza that are obviously not doing too well with the food. And I know Israel is going to help us with that in terms of distribution and also money. We also have the Arab states are going to help us with that in terms of the money and possibly distribution. So that's what I'm focused on. As far as the rest of it, I really can't say. That's going to be pretty much up to Israel.
It's day 670 of the war in Gaza, and low-scale operations are continuing, with the IDF conducting maneuvers above and below ground. The army released a video of a Hamas terror tunnel being destroyed in the Khan Yunis area. The war is in a lull, but that is soon likely to change if Netanyahu orders the full occupation of the Gaza Strip.
Thanks, Steve, for that report. But what does a full conquest of the Gaza Strip really mean? Joining us now to break down the headline is Editor-in-Chief of the Jerusalem Strategic Tribune, lecturer at Shalom College, co-founder of the Inter-Jewish Muslim Alliance, and former U.S. diplomat. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you, Sosh.
So what does this takeover actually mean, and how does this option finally arise now? And how will the IDF go about taking over fully the Gaza Strip militarily?
Thanks. Well, look, Israel has the military capacity to do this. It has refrained from entering certain parts of the center of the Gaza Strip mostly because of fear, I believe, that that would harm the lives of the remaining hostages there. And so I think the decision has been made that these people are starving, the hostages, and at this point, they just have to pull the trigger and enter what they call the central camps area. Now, and try to save through rescue operations as many of those alive as they can. For me, the key issue is it's not so much a military one. Israel has this capacity, particularly since it has defeated Hezbollah forces in the north and freeing up forces to undertake this military mission. That has always been within Israel's capacity. The question is what happens the day after, and Israel needs to put forward a plan of turning over, I believe, the day-to-day governance of the Gaza Strip after the military conquest to a multinational force that should be led by the U.S. I mean, that's the option I would say is the best.
Right. Of course, all of this would come post the war that's currently happening now. But take us into this current moment. How long will it take for Israel to fully occupy the Gaza Strip if, in fact, they decide to come to this decision? And what will this eventually do to Hamas if it is fully occupied?
Yeah. So, and the Prime Minister Netanyahu has been clear from day one, right, of this war, back in October of 2023, that the goal of this war is to destroy Hamas, both as a military operational organization and as the governance structure for the people of Gaza. And so that remains the goal. The tactical considerations about not entering the center camps was primarily about trying to prevent Hamas from massacring the remaining hostages there, I believe. So they have the capacity to enter. Now, let's recall, people want everything to be done right away. Let's recall how long it took the US-led international coalition to destroy ISIS in Raqqa, in Syria, where the seat of the caliphate of ISIS was, right? Well, that took the better part of 4 years, from 2014 to 2018. Okay, that took 4 years, and ISIS had only really established itself in Raqqa earlier in 2014. So, whereas Hamas has been, building tunnels for nearly 20 years now in Gaza. So, destroying tunnels, the tunnel structure will take time, and we have to be patient with that, because that is how you destroy Hamas, as a military and civilian governance. But while this is happening, while this military operation is happening, we should be hearing, all of us in Israel and in the international community need to be hearing what happens afterwards. And you can't wait until the military defeat happens. I mean, the Allies in World War II did not wait till the end of the Nazi Germany before deciding what the post-war settlement would look like. Right. And we here cannot wait until the end of the military phase of this operation before hearing about the post-war governance of Gaza.
Right. So I want to speak now about the humanitarian aid that is consistently getting into the Gaza Strip. We know that Israel significantly boosted it. I want to say that right now we're learning about new data the United Nations Office for Project Services released, which shows that since May 19th, when humanitarian aid deliveries resumed inside of the enclave, and until today, nearly 89% of aid trucks collected by the United Nations were intercepted and did not reach their intended destinations inside of the enclave. The organization says it was either intercepted by peacefully by hungry people or forcefully by armed actors during transit in Gaza. What's your take on this statistic?
Yeah, first of all, I'm very skeptical of UN and other statistics, because the statistics are being gathered by Palestinians, many of whom are either in Hamas or aligned with Hamas in Gaza. These statistics come not from someone sitting in New York, but from people on the ground who are Palestinians in Gaza. And so I think we have to be skeptical of all statistics coming out of Gaza. I can tell you from my personal experience, on the other hand, that it is very tough to deliver humanitarian aid. I've been in operations where we've had to do that. And for desperate populations, they do stampede. They don't wait in lines. That is the nature of hungry and desperate populations. In my case, it was the Karabakh refugees coming out of the Karabakh region of Azerbaijan, and I witnessed this. They don't queue up and wait, and you have to have a lot of security to prevent that, and you have to be well organized, and that requires a lot of money and a lot of personnel to make this happen effectively. And this is why, again, I return to my battle cry here. This is why Israel needs to be working with the U.S. to have a multinational force, because Israel itself, even working with security contractors that it has hired and humanitarian suppliers, probably doesn't have the resources on its own to provide all this humanitarian aid. and security needed in Gaza. It needs to work. After Hamas is defeated, there needs to be already in place a multinational operation to take over this part of the Gaza Strip.
Robert Silverman, thank you so much for being with us today. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
And as Israel continues to significantly boost humanitarian aid inside of the Gaza Strip with new mechanisms and airdroppings, Axios is now reporting Trump plans on taking over the Gaza aid effort. Since Witkoff left Israel a few days ago after touring the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation sites inside of the enclave, Witkoff met with Trump on Monday and discussed a plan for the U.S. to significantly increase its role in providing humanitarian aid inside of Gaza. That's according to this reporting. An unnamed official says it's because Israel isn't handling the Gaza aid effort adequately, although Axios says Trump is not thrilled about the idea of taking charge. Now, the reporting also says Trump doesn't want to see the U.S. being the only country that is investing a lot of money into the problem in Gaza, saying he's tasked Witkoff and others to make sure other countries around the world are stepping up. And Israel's foreign minister slammed the international community at the United Nations this week, warning that global silence and the desire to recognize a Palestinian state is enabling Hamas and endangering the lives of hostages still held in Gaza. All while the brother of emaciated and starved hostage Evitar David spoke in front of the global audience. ILTV's Mayan Hoffman has more.
At a tense UN Security Council session in New York, Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar accused the international community of turning a blind eye to Hamas atrocities while pressuring Israel in the midst of a war.
On October 7th, Hamas invaded, with no reason, into Israel. It committed evil crimes like the Nazis and ISIS did. They murdered and raped women, killed children in front of their parents, and parents in front of their children. They beheaded people, burned whole families alive, took 251 hostages into cruel captivity. 50 of them are still there, starved and tortured.
The session was called by Israel after Hamas released new videos showing Israeli hostages Evitar David and Ram Berslavsky emaciated and weak. Israel says the men are being deliberately starved and tortured by Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad as part of a propaganda campaign, while terrorists continue to enjoy full access to food and medical care.
My brother was a living skeleton. He had barely the strength to move or speak. His voice barely recognizable.
Sa'ar called on the Security Council to immediately condemn Hamas and demand the unconditional release of all hostages. He also criticized recent announcements by Western countries to recognize a Palestinian state, claiming they handed Hamas a political victory and sabotaged the chance for a ceasefire. The UN's own envoy, Miroslav Zinka, warned that any expansion of Israel's military operations in Gaza could have, quote, catastrophic consequences. But Israel insists the world must hold Hamas accountable before there can be peace.
At Hostages Square in Tel Aviv, a group of Holocaust survivors that lived through Nazi death camps came to show support and solidarity with the families of the hostages suffering in Gaza. Survivors say they were shaken by the recent Hamas propaganda videos of emaciated Israeli hostages and appealed for maximum efforts to bring them home.
But the hunger that we saw there, it makes me so, I can't explain how sad, unbelievable people are.
כשראיתי את התמונות הזדעזעתי והמחשבה החזירה אותי למחנות הריכוז בהם אני הייתי לפני 80 שנה. אני מרגיש את החוסר אוכל, את הצמא, את הרעב, שבן אדם שלא עובר את זה לא יכול להבין את זה. רק מי שעבר דבר כזה מבין מה שהמסכנים האלה עוברים, ואני משתגע שזה עוד לא נגמר.
And now ILTV is proud to partner with Blessed by Israel, a company that brings you extraordinary products handcrafted by the brave pioneers of Judea and Samaria. Every purchase supports their mission and strengthens Israel's heartland. Let's take a closer look at Blessed by Israel and how you can make a difference today.
As the world moves to boycott Israel, the people working to restore life to the biblical heartland face daily challenges. Blessed by Israel offers a simple way to support these efforts by bringing unique and beautiful products from Judea and Samaria directly to you. From the hilltops of God's land to your home, you can find exceptional items crafted by families and small businesses in the heart of Israel. With U.S.-based warehouses, Blessed by Israel ensures affordable prices and fast delivery. Choose from a range of products, including skincare, artisan flowers and foods, olive oil, tahini, honey, and much more. There are many great options for giving wonderful gifts to your loved ones. Visit blessedbyisrael.com to explore these products and discover the inspiring stories behind them. Scan the QR code on your screen to take part in fulfilling God's prophecies.
In a direct challenge to Hezbollah, the government of Lebanon has now officially tasked its army with limiting arms to state forces. The Hezbollah leader rejected the threat and vowed to renew the war with Israel if the IDF continues attacks amid the ceasefire. Here's more with ILTV's Devo Klein.
The Lebanese cabinet have approved President Youssef Ayoun's plan to establish a state monopoly on arms by the end of the year. That means no arms in the hands of Hezbollah. The move by the Lebanese cabinet follows pressure from Washington, demanding that Lebanon publicly commit to disarming Hezbollah and worry that Israel could intensify strikes on Lebanon if they fail to do so.
تكليف الجيش اللبناني وضع خطة تطبيقية لحصر السلاح قبل نهاية العام الحالي بيد الجهات المحددة في إعلان الترتيبات الخاصة بوقف الأعمال العدائية وحدها وعرضها على مجلس الوزراء قبل 31 من الشهر الجاري لنقاشها وإقرارها.
Hezbollah continues to reject the calls to disarm, but is under pressure since last year's devastating war with Israel. They have not dared to renew attacks on the Jewish state.
نحن مش موافقين على أي اتفاق جديد غير الاتفاق اللي موجود بين الدولة اللبنانية والكيان الإسرائيلي. مصلحة إسرائيل ما تروح للعدوان الواسع، لأنه إذا راحوا للعدوان الواسع يعني المقاومة ستدافع والجيش سيدافع والشعب سيدافع. هذا الدفاع سيؤدي إلى سقوط صواريخ في داخل الكيان الإسرائيلي.
Israel continues to monitor developments inside of Lebanon and strikes Hezbollah targets when determined they are in violation of the Israel-Lebanon ceasefire. Just this morning, the IDF eliminated a Hezbollah terrorist in the Bekaa region who was directing terror cells in Syria from within Lebanon. The cell was planning to launch rockets toward the Golan Heights in Israel. Jerusalem will be watching very closely to see if the Lebanese government decision is carried out and Hezbollah disarmed by the end of the year.
In wake of Iran's missile attacks and ongoing tensions in the north and south, many have hesitated to visit Israel. But a group of American high schoolers are currently in Israel with Alexander Must High School in Israel. Jewish National Fund's USA's ultimate college prep study abroad in Israel experience. At a time when fear could have kept them home, they packed their bags up, boarded a plane, and began an unforgettable journey here, one that has strengthened their identity and shaped them into community leaders. Today, we are joined by two of these amazing students, Josh Gerson and Memphis Cortez. Josh and Memphis, thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having us.
First question, tell me why both of you guys decided to jump here. What motivated you to come at a time when Israel was facing two different fronts at that time?
Well, for me, I wasn't worried about safety at all. I fully trust the IDF and the Iron Dome to keep me safe and to keep us safe. And I just love visiting Israel. I think it's so cool to be able to come to a country that my ancestors have prayed to be able to visit for centuries. And now I'm able to be here and to experience the land and to eat the food and the people and see the scenery. And it's so exciting to be here. I love coming to Israel. And I was also very excited to be able to meet other Americans who were just as passionate about Israel as I am. That they were able and willing to come to Israel during such a tumultuous time.
I agree, and I've also visited Israel a lot with my family, but I thought it was very important to have my own experience here and to meet all these other teens from the United States that also want their own experience in this country and want to learn all about it.
What surprised you guys the most about being here during this time or in general?
For me, this is my 6th time in Israel since October 7th, but it's my first time since the direct war with Iran. But something that stands out to me every time I come is the resilience of the people of Israel. It's hard to imagine that only a few days before I arrived, there were people all across the country in bomb shelters because of Iran. And now Israel has bounced back and Israel is so full of life. And every time I come, it's amazing to see how life continues.
Did you say 6 times?
6 times since October 7th.
Wow, yeah. Were you volunteering? What were you doing?
At first I came just to see what was going on. I came in November of 2023, and then I returned other times to volunteer or to travel with my family. And I was on a different summer program last summer, but every time it's an amazing experience, and I just love to come back again and again.
I also just want to share a story that the other day we were in Jerusalem and we saw, a woman sitting at a cafe sipping her coffee, but she had the number of the days since October 7th, and it just proves to show that everyone is still going on with their lives, but everyone is still mourning and taking into account what has happened.
Tell me how this experience has changed your perspective for yourself or even for possibly the future.
I think for me, I've felt much more connected to Israel being here, especially after everything, and even more connected to my Jewish identity and seeing how Jews have always been able to push through and have always had their time, had their life, been very joyous about everything, even when things are tragic and even when things are dark.
Yeah, and I think the mindset of anti-fragility and resilience has helped Jews throughout history get through so many tough times. And I'm confident after seeing it in Israel that this mindset is going to help us once again and we are going to be victorious.
So we only have a few minutes left, actually maybe even just a moment, but what's something really interesting you learned on this trip?
I think I've learned so much about Jewish history that I haven't known before because I went to a Jewish day school through 8th grade and we were always sitting in the classroom learning about different stories from Judaism. But for example, just the other day we were at Atlit, which is towards the north of Israel. It's a camp where Jews were forced to go by the British after arriving in the British Mandate of Palestine. And to be able to see there and to see what these Zionist pioneers experienced is totally different from just hearing about it in a classroom. And something that we've done all throughout this trip with Alexander Muss High School in Israel is to hear these stories and then to visit these places where they took place. And it's incredible to gain this extra layer of depth, and it's so much more memorable to experience Israel and Jewish history in this way.
Really quick, Memphis?
I also think it's important to do it with other people and other teens that want to get to know the country and to be able to learn more and also learn from others that we're on the program with. I think it's amazing, and I came here pretty much alone, and I've created some friendships that I will have forever now, and I'm very happy about that.
Thank you both so much for joining us today. Appreciate your time as always.
Thank you for having us.
Of course. Let's take a look at the weather forecasts. Clear skies are expected around most of the country tonight, with temperatures reaching lows of 24 degrees Celsius or 76 degrees Fahrenheit. Then tomorrow we'll see sunny skies alongside hot temperatures, seeing highs of 33 degrees Celsius or 91 degrees Fahrenheit. And that's a wrap for today's news. For the latest updates from Israel on all of your devices, be sure to follow our ILTV channels and our new live channel. You can also screen us and watch us on Screen Eyal with 24/7 live coverage. Stay informed with the latest news straight from the heart of Israel. I'm Shosh Bedrosian. Thanks so much for joining us.